Howdy ho, peepers and creepers. So, update on the 5.3 liter GMC Sierra 2004. Um, so, in my previous video, I had mentioned how I've been having that idle problem for about 3 years. I called the dealer, and you get a service advisor, and they're real generic. They don't got time to be trying to diagnose stuff over the phone with you or whatever. But I picked his mind a little bit, and basically that cat on the phone was just running circles, man. He didn't know what the hell he's talking about. Well, basically the dealer saying, they got to get it in and check it out, and it could have been a day or two or three or four, but this is depending on how much problems your vehicle has. And I don't have a lot of problems with this vehicle except that idle. So I did call a mobile mechanic from a city just north of me, and that Mexican cat referred me to a master mechanic in Chandler. So I called them, and the dude's like, "Bring it in. I got room for you right now. Come on up right now." I was like, "Oh shoot." And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to turn down getting my vehicle in and being seen right away, right? So he's about 20 minutes away, so I drove the vehicle. An old timer came out. He looked seasoned, he looked like he might have a little bit of know-how, when you got about 3 or 4 moles on the side of your temporal region, and you got that 5 head going with, no hair on top of your head and hair on the sides. I might believe a fella. But anyways, he said, "Let's go for a ride." I said, "Here, I'll drive it." He goes, "Nope, I'll drive it." And I said, "Okay, cool." So we got in, and before we even drove, I said, "Let me see if I can replicate my problem right now." So I threw it on high fan, defrost mode, and brights on, and the voltage dropped from, the meter, the voltmeter inside the vehicle is a rough estimate, but it was at about 14.5, I'm gonna say. Turn on all the accessories that I could, and the volts dropped down between like 9, maybe even 10. He told me that's normal. And I'm not the argumentative kind of fella, but I said, "Whoa, what?" He goes, "Yeah, I own 3 of these trucks, and it does the same exact thing." And I go, "You're driving your truck around, pulling into a parking lot, pulling into your driveway, and your volts drop down to 9, and you're okay with that? And your RPMs drop down below 500, and the vehicle's about to die?" I'm like, I don't know, man. And like I'm saying, my problem started about 3 years ago, and it's not severe, it's not bad, it's not concerning. She's gonna keep operating, but I know it's not normal for my vehicle. So we went on our test drive, and he was talking a lot of good stuff. So he was telling me, with these vehicles from, what did he say? From 98 to 04, 05, 06 ish, the dealer or the manufacturer did something where when you come to a stop, he was saying that the alternator or the vehicle sheds all the RPM to decrease the fuel pump capacity to reduce fuel flow to pass emissions. So I don't know, man. I ain't never heard of that. It sounds like a good theory, but I don't know. That just is weird to me. But if that is the truth, I'm the original owner of this vehicle, and it has not done that for over 20 years. So why is all of a sudden it's now doing that, right? So anyways, we're driving, and he's telling me that you need to drive your vehicle over 1,500 RPM for the alternator to turn on to charge your battery. And I said, well, that's kind of interesting. Maybe because, when I drive to work, I'm driving 50 minutes. I want to say I'm over 1,500 RPM, doing about doing about 55 miles an hour, I think. But I don't have a problem with the defrost or heat or any of that shit when I'm on the open roads. Like, it works normal. So I was kind of buying his high RPM theory, but that doesn't make sense if you're Gramps living in a town where you drive 2 minutes to get your coffee and cigarettes, You know, you're not going to be up at 1,500 unless you're rednecking it and peeling out everywhere you go, and where pavement ends, you just going to town, right? But I don't know. I didn't get a good feel with what the guy was trying to sell me. You know, I mean, I was meeting him 50% of the way because I'm not a 100% drivability guy. You know, I'm probably operating in that 50 percentile. I'd like to see at least 80 to 85. But I know a little bit more about this shit than I don't know, maybe the average cat might. So, anyways, um, so then he started telling me my battery was bad. And I said, "What?" I go, "No, the battery's 2 days old." He goes, "Ah, it doesn't mean nothing." He goes, "Everybody in this valley doesn't like me because I tell all of them their alternators and their batteries are all bad. You can't get a good battery in this town to save your life." And so, you know, I was thinking, okay, maybe, but I buy the Duralast Gold batteries, and they last me 5 to 7 years. This last one lasted me 7 years, you know, or the one before, you know, a day ago. And I told him that. And he's like, "No, no way, no possible way." I said, "Yeah, dude." I said, "I clean my terminals, I clean the battery. I even clean out my battery tray. You guys saw that in my previous video." I go, I take care of my shit. When winter months come, I pull the terminals off and I clean them all up because I don't want to be having cold cranking problems in the cold and all that shit. And so anything, I'll probably overkill on that. And but I had tested that new battery from AutoZone, and it did tell me it needed to be charged. It was at 82%, but it had 800 cold cranking amps. So whatever, you know, I had charged that battery up, threw it back in the truck, and I ran through my paces with the Foxwell tester, and I had no charging problems, no cranking problems, of course, because the truck starts, and my cold cranking amps tested at like 800. You know, the volts were like 14.1 or something crazy like that. So I feel like the battery was fine. So the guy said, "Well, leave the truck with me. It's going to be a little bit more involved than what I think." I said, "Okay, cool." So I leave the truck. I take off. About 3 hours later, he says, "Come get your truck. I know what's wrong." And I said, "Oh, cool." Well, cool or not, I'm thinking he's going to tell me I need to clean the air intake manifold. But I pull in, I get dropped off by my ride. He says, "Jump in." We go for a ride. He has a little scanner connected in a cigarette lighter. He goes, "Okay, check this out." And he goes, "So when you're sitting still, the alternator's not charging." And he goes, "And that's what it's supposed to do. It doesn't charge until the battery tells it, 'Hey, I'm low on volts. You need to start charging.'" And I said, "Really?" I said, you know, I don't know. I always thought alternators were always charging, you know, just charge, charge, charge. But it would make sense, you know, if you got enough juice, stop charging." And he goes, "But when we start driving, the little green light on his little tester started blinking." He goes, "So your alternator's starting to fire up now." And I said, "Okay, cool, but you're not at 1,500 RPM and you're not really driving fast. So it's telling me the alternator's coming online." He goes, "Yeah, but watch this." So then he guns it, and it does go solid green. He goes, "So there, your alternator's kicked in. We're over 1,500. He goes, "Now I'm going to turn on your AC and all this and watch that light." So he turns on the AC. I hit the defrost button because it's right there, just because I'm that kind of guy. And sure enough, the light went out. And I said, "Okay, so it's a charging problem." He goes, "Nope, it's normal. What it's doing right now is normal." He goes, "It will only charge when it needs the volts." I said, "So why did it start flickering at a lower speed? And then as soon as you haul balls, it's not flickering anymore. And if it was supposed to be charging over 1,500, why is it not charging?" Well, we went round and round with that. Probably 3 times we had that same exact conversation. We were pulling in back to his shop. And I said, "Dude, I'm telling you, this is not normal." So I turned on the defrost. I turned on the AC, put the fan on high, and turn on the headlights. And I said, "Okay, pull into this parking lot and come to a stop just like you're parking right into that spot." So as he's pulling in, it drops down to like 9 volts, maybe 10. It gets real erratic RPM, and it almost died. You know, and I said, "Look at that, dude. You can't tell me that's normal. That it's never done that. You know." It said, like I said, over the last 3 years, it's been doing that in the hot months. The last year and a half, maybe when it was colder, it was doing it. I go, I don't know. So I had rebuilt my alternator. So he is asking me if I cleaned the armature, which I didn't. And I said, maybe not. And he goes, well, your armature could be worn, the brushes could be worn. I said, nope, did the brushes, did the rectifier, and did the front bearing. Yeah, he is still, well, he's saying could be the alternator, could not be, but he says it's the battery. And I said, okay, did you test the battery? Because I don't need to test the battery. I know it's the battery. These batteries are shit. You can't get good batteries from AutoZone, basically. And I said, dude, like I told you, these are the Duralast Gold. They last me, even though it gets 120 degrees down here in Arizona, it lasts me 5 to 6 years if I keep up on it, keep it clean, and so on and so forth. Um, and so I said, okay. So you're telling me a battery that I bought 2 days ago is gonna go out, like be bad again? And he's like, I guarantee it. And I go, okay, so if I replace the battery, replace the alternator, you're telling me it's my problem's gonna go away. He would not say yes, and he would not say no, but he said I would start with your battery. I'm like, dude, it's okay, fine. So he didn't charge me his diagnostic fee, so I was thankful for that. I offered to buy him coffee or give him money or whatever the hell. Yeah, he would not take any money. So I'm thinking that's telling me he don't know what the hell he's talking about, or he don't know what's wrong with the truck is what I'm thinking. So, anyways, I drove to AutoZone, which was right around from his shop. Went in to get a battery. The guy says, okay. He goes, this is going to be considered your replacement battery for the battery you just got. So your warranty doesn't carry over or whatever the hell. I said, okay, fine, whatever, dude. We'll cross that road when we get there because it's going to last me 5 to 7 years. And you guys won't warranty it anyways. I'll have to buy another one. Like I always have to buy another one because I go too long. So he says, well, come in back in 2 years and get a new one. And I said, well, you just told me the warranty is going to be voided. Then he goes, we'll see about that. So whatever that meant with AutoZone, I don't know. I don't care. So he puts the new battery in for me. A pretty young chap, strong. I mean, he was curling that battery like a chief. Throws the battery in there. I said, thank you, sir. I crank up the truck. I turn on the AC. I put the fan on high, and I turn on the lights, and it does the same exact shit. I wasn't even driving. I was just sitting there. So I called the old boy back at the repair shop, and I said, hey, buddy, how you doing? Hey, pretty good. I said, okay, new battery, same problem. And he's like, I don't know what to tell you. And I said, okay, do you recommend I do the alternator? And he goes, well, I have to look at it. And I'm thinking, you just looked at it, dude. So I rant. So what did I do? I bought an alternator, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this one out. I'm gonna dissect the old one. I want to pull the new one apart and just kind of look at it, but I'm gonna throw it in there. I still don't feel it's my alternator, man, because my charging test passes. And the master mechanic guy was telling me that doesn't mean nothing. He says your alternator could be passing charging sitting still, but it's just not doing well under a load. And under my particular scanner, I can't test it on the fly. So I asked the mechanic again. I said, okay, did you put it on your dyno? Did you put it on your analyzer? He goes, well, why do I need to do that? And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe there is a slight misfire. Maybe the alternator's not putting out under a load. Can't you do the on demand and all that stuff with your icons? He's like, I don't need to do that. I already know what the problem is with your truck. I'm like, well, then what's the problem? And he would not come out and say that it's an alternator problem. I really feel it's the alternator because when your vehicle's running and you turn on your brights and you turn on the high fan and your headlights dim, that is usually a clear indicator that you're not charging properly. According to that master mechanic, he's telling me that is not the reason why your lights dim. He says your lights are supposed to dim when you turn your AC on high and your lights on. He goes, this is what the trucks do. And I beg to differ. My truck has never done that before, and I feel that would be a safety concern. You're driving down the road, all of a sudden you want to turn on high AC at night, and it's going to dim your lights. And I'm talking super dim. I'm not talking just a little bit. I'm talking pretty noticeable, and with the voltage drop around 9 to 10 volts. So, I don't know. I'm thinking PCM stuff. but he couldn't give me a good clear answer. So I'm gonna do the alternator and see what happens, and if it works, then holy smokes. But it is the original alternator. It just has new brushes, new bearing, new rectifier. I did not replace the armature or clean the armature. So when I dissect it, I'm expecting that to be excessively dirty, and if not, I'm gonna be a little hot. Anyways, let me let you guys go. Bye.